Welcome to the Surviving Business Show. I'm Winston Wilson. Hope you all are doing well this wonderful Juneteenth. This is a great day, so we hope you're doing well. We are going to talk today about businesses that we love, friends that we love, and just in general, all of the businesses that are Black-owned businesses that are out there. So please join us. Please connect in. We've got David Wilson that will be joining us. Hey, David, he looks like he's joining us. We don't see you yet, but he'll be here shortly. We just see the top of your head. So,
yeah.
So while David gets that squared away, just want to tell you all thank you for being part of this show. This is our season 1 finale. We will be taking a lot of these episodes and giving you small bites and portions for those of you who are not there. But if you join us live, that is when you get an actual chance to participate and to be part of the show. And we're hoping that we're able to pick someone today and allow them to be part of the show going forward. So I'll bring David up here now. So David, welcome. We only see your face. Oh, we lost his video.
Yeah, I'm having some technical difficulties getting my actual camera to start. Okay, here we go. I think we're gonna be good. Gonna go black.
All right.
Go in.
While he does that, today is Juneteenth. I would love to say that this is a long time coming, but we all know that. This episode is not for us to go through and to give you the history of Juneteenth, even though it's a pretty fascinating history if you haven't heard of it. I'm pleased that it's a national holiday. I like the fact that we've got a president who recognizes that. But at the same time, we don't really need him to recognize us in that kind of way, right? So we all know what's happened with Juneteenth and how important it is for us as Black people in the United States. So it has been a critical thing for all of us. Today, I'm here in the state of Georgia, and in the state of Georgia, we have and I know there's lots of celebrations that are happening today. So it looks like we've got David back now. You got sort of technical difficulties have remedied themselves. Looks like
it's never happens until when you're ready to go live.
It's you're still a little choppy, but we're glad to have you. We are going to jump in and we're going to talk about businesses that we love. And this is obviously not a full list for everyone that's out there. You know, we can't go through every Black business that we've ever loved because there's so many of them. But we decided we pick a selection, and every single one of these businesses, every single one of them do not know that we're doing this. So we're not being sponsored by anybody. No one's saying, hey, we're going to give you, X amount to do this. We're just doing it because we love them and we appreciate them. So before I start with that, David, you had any opening comments while we start to share our first business?
No, I just wanted to say that it's wonderful that we had initially thought about doing this episode on Juneteenth, and with a specific focus on economics. And as I speak to different people, they have different take on the Juneteenth honoring of a national holiday, and feel like, some people feel that, this is pretty much unnecessary. This is to take our eye off the goal. This is, a weak attempt of the Democrats to try and show that they care about us. But, for me, I think that, it's what we make of it, and as Caribbean born, well, not Caribbean born, but, child of Caribbean parents who came to this country seeking better, we still, were under the imperialism back in Jamaica of the Britain rule way past when in this country, people were, of African descent were quote unquote considered to be free. And, we could go into Jim Crow, we could go into, the debts that are owed and all of this crazy stuff that has happened in the history of this country. But the July 4th, for some reason, after, you hit like the age of 10 or 13 and, you start to see the real world. For me, it never really felt like it was my holiday. I'd celebrate it. Yeah, I love a barbecue, but never felt like it was my holiday. And I think that this is a chance for us to actually have that holiday where, like, yeah, this is when it went down. And this is a day to honor, our ancestors, if not honor ourselves, and to stay committed to some of the things that we hope to accomplish in this show, which is to spur our growth in our own businesses. It's not only for Black businesses. Don't get me wrong. The show isn't just for Black businesses. It's for all businesses. But in our communities, we hope that there is a takeaway that, as Black people do watch it, listen, that they understand that, there's a huge responsibility that we hold to ourselves and that we hold to our children and we hold to those that come after us to make sure that they are in a better stance than where we are, and that the issues of the past that may not be resolved, that they will continue to be they will be continue to be tackled, right? And we'll continue to progress, right? This is like one little tiny node. The national holiday is one little tiny node of tackling something that should have been addressed a very, very long time ago. But once again, it's what the people make of it.
Yep, thank you for that. I would say the first business that we love, if you didn't notice, for those of you who are looking at us, we are both wearing T-shirts by an artist. And this T-shirt was brought to us by a very good family friend. So if Rhonda Morgan is out there, thank you for sharing with us this really fantastic T-shirt with all these hip hop names on it. And we actually got the same T-shirt. I got a bigger one because I'm bigger. And so
how do you figure?
Bigger, man, I'm bigger. So I got
I thought you were getting a different color. How about that? I didn't think we were gonna be twinning.
Yeah. But this, I think the artist, it says art by Lou B on the back. I think that's the name of the artist. All I know is that this is my T-shirt when I'm going on vacation. This is like the first T-shirt because it represents all of the people that are on there. Run DMC, MC Light, I think I saw on there. All these hip hop artists from back in the day. It's just a beautiful piece of artwork. And sometimes artists are not considered business people the same way like business people are, and that's not true. We have found so many great artists that are doing so many great things, and they need revenue just as much as any other business. So shout out to Lou B for creating this fantastic T-shirt. This is wonderful, and thanks to Rhonda for getting it for us.
And as we know, Rhonda is the number one realtor, One Realty Prime Premier Realtor, she's
the Realtor Premier, that's for sure.
Yeah, Realtor Premier.
One time I was sitting with her and we were talking about her messaging, and I came up with something kind of corny, and she was just like, well, what should I think about with my own branding? I was like, Rhonda, she does, no matter where you at, she at there, or she's something that's wherever she's at, wherever you are, she's got a house for you. Wherever you at, she's at. It doesn't exactly like that, but I can't remember what it was. All I know is that she sold houses all over Atlanta, everywhere. And so when she was asking about it, I was like, so why are you you don't limit yourself to one side of town. You sold north, south, east, west, wherever you at, that's where I'm at. Something to that effect.
And that's the truth with Rhonda. And, as we know, wherever you at, Rhonda knows somebody where you at also. She's got that New York hustle, like few do, know. So
few people do, that's for sure. So the first business that I was going to share here is a business that I use local to me, and this is a Black-owned restaurant. So I think we talked about restaurants. Actually, we talked about restaurants in the call I was just on, as far as finding restaurants that were nearby. And this restaurant is called Foodies. They make vegetarian food, and all of these businesses will have some story behind it. For those of you who might recall, I've changed my diet over the last several months. And so I get food from here. They got some great salads. They got some great veggie burgers that are real organic burgers, not made with preservatives and all of that. And I love them. Their food is fantastic. I don't know if it helps me on a weight journey or anything. All I know is it's healthy and it's real and it's Black owned. And it's a restaurant here in Cobb County, Georgia. So I'm displaying their website for those of you who can see it. They don't know me besides the fact that come and pick up my food, and they're a Black owned business.
It's awesome.
Yeah, so
I can't wait to come to Atlanta to try it out.
Yeah, it's not far from where I'm at, and so it's really awesome. So we're going to pick our next business that we want to talk about, and let's see who's next on the list. This is going to be a pretty long list for those of you who are listening out there. So it's going to be pretty long. And I tried to arrange them before I got on this, but I don't think I got the arrangement correctly. And so we're going to first now talk about this brother here. And I think, Dave, you can talk about him.
Okay, so Mel's Magnificent Cheesecakes. So this is a business that's very close and dear to my heart. Mel, he was a friend of mine that I met when I went to college. And I'll give you a little story about his business because I'm very closely tied to it. Not making money off of it, but closely tied to it. So a Valentine's Day came around our sophomore year at Clark Atlanta University, and Jamel Flashes said, "Hey, you know what I think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna try and make a cheesecake for these girls that I'm dating." Notice I said plural, girls.
Do they all get the same cheesesteak?
Yeah, I should be. Yo, Mel, if I'm blowing up your spot, it's fine because you're divorced and all that stuff. You're good. But he's like, I'm making
putting Mels and all of his stuff out there.
So he said, I'm gonna make cheesecakes for these girls, but he didn't have a blender. And of course, I travel with my blender because I always made cakes with mommy, right? So I was like, yo, I got a blender. I gave him the blender. He made these cheesecakes, right? The girls love the cheesecakes. Other people found out that he made these cheesecakes. They go, oh, you made cheesecakes. Can you make me a cheesecake? So he made them cheesecakes. And the next thing you know, he had this little small bubbling thing that was happening. I said, man, you're giving these people cheesecakes for free. You need to charge them. So he started charging them and they were paid. So, to this day, Mel has been grinding on putting together his cheesecake company. So we're 20 something years strong in him creating these cheesecakes. And he's taken, of course, there's, with entrepreneurs, there can be fall off time, right? There can be a time where like you explore something and it doesn't really work the way that you wanted it to work, right? He was in Atlanta and he was actually, the business was actually taking off and was about to take on its own life. And then, he had some personal things that happened. So he fell off, but he's back and he's stronger than ever. He's delivering cheesecakes all across the country. He's getting huge orders in from everywhere, from politicians to, the neighborhood guy across the street that's like, yo, I'm about to throw a party. So, great story, great cheesecakes. I've bought some recently. Brought them out to the family. People were fighting over them. Like, I want my own little cheesecake. People were hoarding them, trying to keep them. So if you get a chance, check out Mel's Magnificent Cheesecakes. You can see his websites up there. Great cheesecakes.
That's awesome.
And he makes like wonderful flavors. So he has like this golden Oreo flavor and this actually, he just created this lemon Oreo flavor. He does like sweet potato pie and, the strawberries. Great blends, right? So it's a lot of options and not your Cheesecake Factory type of options either.
That is awesome. I know Mel, he is a good brother, man. He is fantastic. So let's see. We're going to talk about this next business here. And you made a good point, David, about really being persistent when it comes to business. So sometimes business people go, yeah, I had this thing, I started this thing, and then I just stopped. You know, they went for a month or two or a few months, and they just stopped. So the next business that we're highlighting here is called Beachy Pal, beachypal.com. Full disclosure, this is another one of our family members, and she has been doing this forever. Her name is Michelle Stephanie, and she's in Tennessee. And the thing I love about this is that one of her products, and hopefully I'll be able to find it, is she makes a wonderful sea moss. I don't know how she does it. Sea moss is a natural thing. And so she makes the sea moss and she packages it and she sells it. And sea moss has so many wonderful benefits for you as a person. And I take it every single morning with my beverage. And I tell you, uh, it makes me feel great. It helps with my digestion. I know it promotes weight loss. And this is overall, one thing I did read is that it has more protein in it than if you had chicken or if you had like that kind of meat. Sea moss does it. And so you can see her from her website. She sells a variety of things. She is just so amazing. And she is unbelievably persistent. She's been doing this for years and she don't care. Like when she started out, she's like any other business. Some businesses go, yeah, well, no one liked my post or something, so I'm gonna stop. She don't care. she is keeping growing. And this business, as you can tell, has so many things on it. And I love the fact that she really exemplifies what it means to be a strong Black business.
Yep. And I'll say something about Michelle. And the thing is, you know, her father, who is also an entrepreneur, is probably how can I put it? He's like the role model of all of us, right? Yeah. And he had a lot of nephews and nieces. So if you know Jamaica, you have nephews and nieces that are like your real nephew and niece, and then you have the cousin nephew and nieces, and then you have like the not really cousin nephew and nieces. You like the people that are just like they know the family and they be like, yeah, I'm the nephew and the niece. And you know, I've had arguments with some of those people like, yeah, you ain't really a nephew and niece. What are you talking about? Where does your lineage attach, right? Yeah, Uncle Russell, you know, successful business for 40 plus years in Long Island. And, you know, I think he's really the catalyst for helping Michelle sculpt this being that she is. That's just like, we're going to do it. And I don't need an employer. No one's going to tell me how I'm going to do this because we're going to figure out a way, right? She's going to figure out logistics. She's going to figure out every little piece of the pot and needs to be put together to make things happen, which is awesome. And as far as Beachy Pal products, I bought a shea butter with turmeric mix because I had a really bad fall off my bike and I wanted to, you know, get the healing to happen. And if you can't tell, there's still a little scar that's left, but I haven't been sticking to using this thing all the time. But you know, initially when that cut happened, it looked like I fell off of a bike. I mean, like it was a really, really bad rash. You know, you would have thought that my arm was never going to come back. And this was only, you know, like a month and a half ago. And it's worked wonders.
Yeah. And yeah, to say more about Uncle Russell, I remember years ago, he had a Jamaican bakery in Long Island. And I would go there and I would say to myself, man, he is such an example of like someone who didn't care about anything else. He treated his employees well. He had that bakery for decades, and he was just to the point where he would sell them beyond the bakery. He would sell Jamaican food to other restaurants and other places around. I was like, now that is phenomenal. And you're right about Michelle keeping that spirit alive, and that spirit has permeated us to a certain degree. So she has been amazing.
I always wish that I would have worked there so I could have learned how to make his bun because I can't find a bun that's like comparable, right? That can even barely match up to Uncle Russell's bun. And I'm like, oh man.
Man, you make me think about this. Where I'm at here, I can't recall getting a good bun. Period. I was going to say some time frame, but as long as I've lived here, I don't remember I have to go to New York or somewhere in between to get a good bun.
I mean, you could go to Jamaica.
Well, I could do that. And my
Jamaica's
brother,
probably closer to New York, technically.
well, it is. Miles wise, my brother-in-law, he probably knows a good Jamaican restaurant to get that from.
Yeah,
he probably does. So shout out to Beachy Pal. Thank you so much for all the stuff that you do. The next business I'm going to share here is Marietta's New Theater in the Square. This is a brother who, his name is Raul Thomas. He's from Puerto Rico. He is such a great person. When I was looking to get a show that I had written somewhere, I got a lot of discrimination, in my opinion, here in Atlanta. And it wasn't overt discrimination. It wasn't people saying, "Oh yeah, you're black. You can't have your show here." But they were saying things like, "Well, you need a writer for $5 million on insurance in order for you to have a stage reading in our location." That's an example of that kind of racism that I encountered. It was real to me. At the time, I was just pushing through. I was like, "Nah, I'm going to get my S going. I'm going to get it out there. Somebody's going to see it. I don't care if they like it or not. It's somewhere." And I came across Raul. I think I went to one of his shows that one of my actors were in, and then I met him and had this great conversation with him. And he's a New Yorker. He's from the Bronx. He's a fantastic chef. He's got a kitchen here also in Cobb County called Raul's Latin Kitchen. Award-winning chef, and he's got this phenomenal theater. And so when I came to him, I said, "I got a reading and I want to do a show here." He was like, "Brother, when you want to do it?" I was saying to myself, "Damn, why don't I get that kind of response anywhere else?" And ever since then, and it's not just me. You can tell by the shows that happen at this theater, and it's in Cobb County in Georgia here, the Marietta's New Theater in the Square, that he's supporting all of us. He's supporting all of us. So if you got a show that you want to have out there, he's ready to do it. He'll do it for you. And you just don't get that everywhere. So I wanted to make sure that anyone who's out there listening to this now or in the future, please make sure that you go to theaterinthesquare.net. That's what you see up here that we're showing. It's a phenomenal place. They got a great Motown review that always packs the house. And he's just a great person to be around. He just really is. So Married is New Theater in the Square. Any comments?
I'll just say, I met Raul and he's a wonderful guy. And I met him, when I came to assist with the show, with filming and whatever else I had to do to help out to make sure that the show was a success, which it was, grand success. But yeah, the place is great. You can tell that, he's created an atmosphere that is friendly to everyone, right? To the patrons, to the employees, to the people that are having productions there, and that's what's critical, right? And when we look at small businesses and we wonder how do small businesses thrive, how do the little guys stay relevant? A big part of how little guys stay relevant is by being that, right? By having that relationship that they can create with the patrons and the people that are around that make you feel like this is a special place, right? Because it becomes a special place if they feel like it's a special place, right?
That's right. So thank you so much, Raul and the Married and New Theater in the Square, for all that you do for all of us. So before we had our conversation here today, I had a chance to talk to the people at the Atlanta Black Theater Festival. And full disclosure, I'm a member of the advisory board of that group. And it's been around for 10 years. And this kind of piggyback off the conversation we just had with the New Theater in the Square. It's been tough to find venues for Black theater professionals. It just is. I was on a call about 9 months ago that a friend invited me to. And some people might find this a little bit intense. And in the midst of the pandemic, the federal government had allotted a certain amount of money for theater professionals because they know that art helps people when they're going through things. And it got to the city, and then the city doled it out. But the city doled it out to one institution, and I won't name them here because I don't feel like dealing with a lawsuit. But they doled it out to one institution, and that institution was not an institution of color. And that institution had the responsibility of doling out to any other theater or event that they wanted to. So they got a chance to choose it, who they were going to send it out to. Long story short, if you're listening to me, you can probably fill in the blanks about what happened with that money and where it got to and where it didn't get to. And so the Atlanta Black Theater Festival has been a home for 10 years for Black theater artists all over the world. Last year, we had an event in pandemic where we actually invited people from other parts of the world, including Ghana, to come in and to actually have their performances done all virtually. And then this December, after the Atlanta Black Theater Festival in October, in December, everyone in the festival is going to get up and going to go to Ghana and actually perform in Ghana in the theme of Beyond Borders. That is, to me, that exemplifies what Juneteenth means.
Yes.
Like just really being able to take the message and the reason why we're free today or have a modicum of freedom and being able to expand it beyond what we do today. And it's been great to be part of that and to see this thrive and to see it flourish. At the same time, while there's others who are still being an impediment to our growth. So great stuff at the Atlanta Black Theater Festival.
That's so amazing. And as when I went to Ghana, what a lot of the people there would say to me would be like Sankofa, right? And Sankofa is a whole idea that we return back to the soil from whence we came. So there's a depiction of it with uh, the goose with his head turned backwards. Um, and what's happening right now and what they're doing with the Atlanta Arts Black Festival and taking their journey back to Ghana. They will have open arms, and the people of Ghana are very gracious and love us. Um, and I want to go too. I don't know if I can, but I want to go. I got to figure out a way to make that happen.
I'm in the same place. I think that I would love to do it, and I think there was an allotment of a contingent of people to go, and by the time it happened or it was out there, it was tough. And even in my case with my medical scenario, it's a little bit difficult, but I'm still trying to find my way because I've never been. And if anyone of you remember, back in 2019, Ghana had the year of the return where they were asking African Americans to return.
Yep.
And they were giving us visas to go to Ghana. And they were making it easy if you wanted to buy a home or you wanted to start a business in Ghana. They were making it relatively easy to do so.
Yep.
What a beautiful thing that country is doing. I'm sure it's got its own issues just like the United States does. But to have that level of outreach to us, because here's the truth. There's between 40 and 50 million African Americans in the United States of America. The only other contingent of non-African or people that don't live in Africa that's bigger than us is in Brazil. And if we go back and the people in Brazil went back, my gosh, what would happen then?
Yeah.
With our economics, our knowledge, and that we know. I'm not saying that we should do what they proposed back in the day where they went back and do to Liberia, but we should at least go back and have this threading between our two continents. We should definitely do that for sure.
It's interesting that you say that because a lot of times, even when I did the first trip back to Ghana, Daddy be like, "What are you going there for?" And I'm like, because I prefer to go to Africa, to go somewhere in Africa, than to go anywhere else in the world. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's nice to go to the Caribbean, right? It's nice to go to Europe and see, their ancient history. But I want to go from where our people came from. And I've only been twice. There's a lot of countries still left on my list to go and visit, which makes it difficult to go and return to past places that you've gone, right? I have one friend who actually probably should have been on our list, who's a photographer. He's an amazing photographer. And he actually just said, forget it one day. He said, forget it. I'm going to go travel. And then one summer, I can't remember the exact number, but it was like he went and visited over 60 countries. Wow. That is experience. And through his journey, he took pictures and came back and was able to sell some pictures.
That is awesome. So yeah, I know we got on a little bit of a high horse on that, but that's okay, man, because that's how we feel.
Yep.
And so this one is here close by you in Brooklyn, and I've had a chance to be there on several occasions. It's down the street from, I think, where you are in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll talk a little bit about this one for us.
So Bedvine Brew, they're just celebrating 10 years of their wine shop being open. And I remember this neighborhood really lacked dining and options to like hang out, even, wine shops and stuff like that. When I initially came to the neighborhood, I can't even remember, it was like 12, 13, maybe 14 years ago. And, they started out with this little tiny shop that sold wine, right? And these brothers, it's a partnership of like three guys. They had a vision, right? And their vision was that they wanted to bring flavors of wine that met the taste of the people that were around there. So, they constantly scoped the community, constantly had tastings for the community, and constantly tried to make sure that they were providing things that gave the community a different experience, right? So when they ventured off and they created Brew, which is right next door to the wine shop, which, prior to them being there was like a bakery, which was like it's like a French bakery. It was like this guy that was in there creating these like crazy French cakes or whatever. I don't know how he even stayed in business as long as he did, because he just had I got a birthday cake for one of my friends from there, and he didn't, because it was so Frenchy, he didn't write names and stuff on cakes or anything like that. But they took that space, and when they got a hold of that space, the craziest thing was that within like 2 weeks, they opened their doors.
Wow.
So it was like they went in there, they did this real quick breakdown, real quick construction. You saw them working overnight. Boom, they open up the first brewery that's not brewery, but brewery, like brew house in Bed-Stuy, like probably ever, right? And the only thing that they sold was beer and wine. And What beers did they sell? They didn't sell anything that the people in the neighborhood knew about. Everything. 10 beers on tap.
I've been there before. That stuff is great.
Yeah, 10 beers on tap. Always changing, what the beers are. And, you get people that come in because this is Bed-Stuy. They want a Heineken. They want a Corona. They want Hennessy, right? They like, where's this stuff at? But when they taste the other stuff, they hear the music, they feel the vibe, they stay. Now, the thing that's really interesting about them is that it's a growth story, because they went from the small wine shop to a small brewery. They knocked out the wall where the wine shop was, because it was right next door, extended the brewery. They've moved across the street. The wine shop has moved across the street into a bigger location. So now they're not just selling wine at the wine shop. They sell wine, they sell liquor. It's a growth story, right? How do you come from small to large, right? You come and you pretty much bring what you can when you want to start out. It's called your what is it called again? The MCP, right? not the most common multiple, but you bring the minimum product that you can actually bring to the table, right? That will still work.
Right.
And then as you work through it, you continue to refine it, you keep improving it, you improve it. You take the money that's coming in and you use that money for you to create your growth, right? Because as a business, what's the main thing, the main reason why businesses exist, or the main thing that they want to do is they want to grow. Just like how a little kid wants to grow and get bigger, the reason why businesses are created are because they want to get bigger. The reason why Amazon is still growing is because that's why it was created, right? Once you start growing as a business, you pinnacle, and the only thing that's left is for you to go down.
Yeah, I like what you said about the fact that they refine their products. Sometimes I know we've encountered where people come to us and they got like 15 things they're trying to do. And we're like, yo, be very clear on what your main key thing is and who your customers are to start off with, and refine that, make that real freaking dope. Yep. And then build on that instead of trying to do 15 at the same time.
Yep. Focus on the one.
Yeah, that is definitely the thing. I'm going to share one that is a kind of an Atlanta staple here. I think we did Mel already. No, let's do this. Let's talk about this one, because this one we recently had a chance to interact with. This one is a Jamaican restaurant out in Long Island. And the reason why I thought it was interesting to talk about it is that our parents celebrated their 54th anniversary recently. And we all got together, their kids and all that got together and said, you know what, wouldn't it be cool if we sent them some food from a Jamaican restaurant? And as opposed to having a night where they cook every night, because that's what they do. They cook every night. They cook 7 days a week.
Let's get it straight. Mommy cooks every night.
Well, 7 days a week. To one of the greatest gifts we ever gave her was a stove, because they cook a lot. And we said, what if we gave her a night off? Wouldn't that be a cool anniversary gift? And she enjoyed it. She, from what I understand, that she loved the food and the fact that she had a night off, which, knowing our mother, is not really a night off. All she did was cook anyway and then put stuff aside for another day. The fact that she didn't have to was the theme of it. And I thought that was great to share. And the fact that there's Jamaican restaurants all over. We already talked about our uncle's bakery. They're all over. There's more in New York than they are in Atlanta, but there's still some good ones here. I thought we'd talk about this one, share this.
Yeah.
It's called Dunn's River Lounge. And it's in Rockville Center in Long Island, I think.
Yeah. Dunn's River Lounge is an interesting place. When we look at Rockville Center, and most people won't know Rockville Center, right? But there's a small little strip of bubbling businesses, right? Almost like a little downtown. In Dunn's River, they found a little place to be over there, right? It's right close to the train station. And what they do is that they try to have, this night crowd come out. Long Island really lacks that, right? So they're capitalizing on a need that's there. And if you have good food to go along with a nice party, you can't beat that, right? So yeah, great mission, great service that they provide, and giving people an option of being able to enjoy themselves, is really great.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think that we'll transition now to talk about some of our just personal friends and some of the businesses that they have. And it's so interesting to me because from my perspective, almost every friend that I have or that I know has a business. So like almost everyone. So it doesn't matter whether they're working somewhere else through it in the day, like a 9 to 5, or they are working solely as an entrepreneur. I can't recall someone who does not have a business. And that includes a lot of artists and writers. They all got a business. This is like the best time to have one. This is what we put this whole show together to be around, or to be focused on. So we want you all to think about this. And for those of you that we can't, because we can't show everybody, but we'll show some of the people that we know And so the first one I think we will share today is all right. Let's see. I got some cool music that I could play, but I'm not.
Yeah.
So this is a good friend. She was recently on one of our other channels, podcast and TV show, and she is a military veteran that is based in Atlanta. I mean, in Los Angeles, and she's on the West Coast, and she is fantastic. She has served in the military for over 2 decades, and now she speaks to people about their own inspiration. And so Tamale Ward is phenomenal. David, I think you've heard her speak before.
Yeah.
She is just great. And so check her out. Her website is called coachtaminaward.com. And so go ahead and link in with Tomina. I've got so many of these great friends here. So any comments before we move on to our next person?
Yeah, I'll just say, yeah, I've heard Tamina speak, several times on your podcast, and you know, it's just like wow, I hear her talking like wow, she's powerful. Her story is amazing. And her delivery is great. I'm like, yo, can I book her to come and speak to my kids in school? I don't want to pay you, but but you're worth me paying. Not that I don't want to pay you, but I don't have money to pay you.
And she's got that kind of way of speaking. She's got that way of speaking where she is calming but energetic at the same time.
Yes.
Every single one of her words is not on 10.
Mhm.
She really knows how to deliver in a really important way. And I think that young people would really find value in hearing her talk. And, and whatever career path they have, she would be able to share that. The next person we're going to talk about is my brother. My brother Abdul, known as Alpha 23. He is a hip hop artist. He is phenomenal. Go check out his YouTube channel. He has got over 70 some odd videos on his YouTube channel. He's got over, I think, close to 100,000 people who follow him on Spotify. And going back to the way we kicked off the beginning of this conversation around our love of hip hop, he loves hip hop as well. And seeing him continue to do what he's doing and not letting anything deter him is very inspirational to me. I wish I could find one of his songs, but sometimes his songs, I want to make sure that because he has no filter when it comes to his hip hop. So, if you know what I mean. So, people know where I'm going. He won't really slow up when it comes to that. So Alpha 23, as soon as I figure out where his site is, I'll make sure that you all can check him out because he is just a really, really dope brother. And his kind of hip hop music is the kind that you can dance to. At the same time, it'll get you hyped. I always tell him that his love of women is the reason why his music is so compelling, because every single one of his videos, from my perspective, is about a woman or about his love of women. And I think that is fantastic.
That's how Marvel sells movies, right?
Marvel sells movie, yeah. You're exactly.
Put a woman in it.
Yes, and if you can see, he is actually performing in some of his things there. I don't know if I play it. I'm cautious about what he might say on some of them but I love a lot of these. There's this new song he just put out called "In New Orleans," and then another one called "Mint Julep." It's fantastic hip hop, man. It's just the kind you can just let go in the background and you just like vibe to. So thank you so much, my brother Alpha 23.
It's awesome.
So Our next person we're going to talk about, and she is freaking, her energy is for real. She is Miss Natalie Fikes. And Dave, I think you've heard Natalie on the other channels podcast as well.
Mm-hmm.
She is a professional speaker. And what she really talks to people about is finding clarity in their lives. Like a lot of us know stuff that we want to do or like to do and all of that. What she will do is really help you nail down what you should be clear about. And taking all the great stuff that you've learned, because a lot of us have created got a lot of great stuff, but that all leads us to what we want to do. So if you want to own a business, or you want to grow a business, or you want to start a business, when she helps you get that clarity, you'll just say to yourself, "Damn, I knew that forever. Why didn't I think of that?" Oh man, I've been averting, thinking about what I really can share and what I can really spend to the community. I'll give you an example. Like in my case, I know a lot about a lot of stuff. And when I was talking to Natalie, it became clear to me that the reason why I'm able to do a lot of the things that I love to do is because I'm very good at being productive and finding out how to prioritize things. Whereas in the past, the reason why I'm a great writer, or I've written all these plays, or the reason why I can direct them, or I'm talking to you on a surviving business show, is that I know how to set up my day and set up my life to focus on what's important. So I said, damn, that should be what I share. That should be what I share. Like, how do I do that? And because a lot of people can figure out how to do that, or a lot of people would like to know how to do that. And that's led me down to a path. So on my other channel, one of the things that you'll hear on that channel is called Time Buster Tools. It's really around productivity. I had this thing that came to me, and this was later on after my conversation with Natalie. Is I was like, man, what happens to our brothers when they're coming out of incarceration? Like, do they have a plan on how to be productive? I'd probably say many of them do. But I don't know if anyone has ever done that. Going in and say, yo, here's a plan on how to just think about being productive. Because my opinion is, and I've had quite a few friends and family that have been incarcerated, is that they got a lot to think about. They got to think about what's going on with their family. If they got children, they usually got to figure out how to get a job, where to live, and in most cases, how to pay some fines that they might have. Then they got to think about themselves. What do they need to work on? How do they need to get their mental right? And I'm saying to myself, man, this Time Buster Tools, while it's great for everybody, the next level, and the reason why you'll see us taking a break between Survivor Business Season 1 and Survivor Business Season 2, is that you'll see a plan around how to help people do that, because our brothers need that. Now, will all the brothers need it? There'll be some people who will be like, yo, go to hell, dude. I don't need you. But I don't care about that. And you shouldn't either if you have a business. You should care about those who want to get down with what you're doing. Those who say, you know what, that's valuable to me. Yep. Because there's 7 billion people on the earth. And that means that every single one of us got customers. We got clients. There's enough for every single one of us. So thank you to Natalie and Natalie Fikes on that. You got quiet there, partner. What's going on?
No, I was just listening. That was resonating. The whole idea about, incarcerated gentlemen, as you said, a lot of them don't have plans. Some of them do. I just know a lot of them that, a lot of people that I've come across that just come in from being incarcerated. They'll have a plan, but is it a realistic plan? And is it a plan that's going to yield value? Is it going to be something that is going to work?
Right? Yeah, my belief is that our lives are in dimensions. People try to sucker us sometimes and say, well, just do this one thing and then you'll be all right. Nobody's life is like that. Everybody's got relationships with other people. They got family members. All the stuff you're trying to do sounds dope until you get a medical ailment.
You think?
Yeah.
I'll take it one step further, and I'll say everything sounds dope until you try to do it.
Yeah.
Uh, there are so many examples that you could provide of, this is what I'm going to do, and then when the person actually sets out to go and do it, they're like, okay, it's not going to happen how I thought it was going to. I mean, it's similar like what we say with business, right?
That's right.
You say you want to open up a business. You say, all right, yeah, this is what I got to do. This is my plan. I created my business plan. It's tight. I got some MBA dude to create it, and I got all of these other people telling me that my marketing is great. I got this, I got that, and then next thing you know, you go to start the business, like, oh yeah, well you forgot like 52 things that you needed to do before you could even get to the point of anything else that you have to do.
And on top of that, if your health ain't right, if you aren't taking care of yourself, or if you're neglecting things that are important in your life, like your finances or your significant other or your children, it doesn't matter. All the plans sound great until that. How many times you hear about these people and they got billions of dollars and their life is great until something falls apart and then they realize they're divorced 5 times or their kids are doing something crazy. The goal is to have a holistic life. And if you have a great business, that means you're thinking about all of the dimensions in your life that's important. Because they are. It's everything is fantastic until everything you say, oh, I'm just got this all written down. Even for me, being productive is awesome. But if Dave calls me tomorrow and says, hey, something's going on with the family and, we got to do something, screw everything else. So that's why having a plan for everything is important. And that way, when you're starting that business, you got to be like, yo, I got this business and I want to do it. And I got to make sure all these other dimensions in my life are moving at the same time. So having a plan for each one of those are important. And so I know we got off on a little bit of a tangent here, but that's awesome, man, because those of you who are listening to us now or in the future, we hope that we give you some value by sharing about it.
I think I had, one person that was on the list. I didn't have a hyperlink when I sent it over to you. And I wanted to spend some time talking about him. So one of my good friends, he's down in North Carolina, Quebec, Gibb. He is a web developer on the side of, what he really does, to pay all of his bills every day. He's a web developer, and then he also does before he got this last job, he was like the sales guy. He used to go and travel and do these like huge conferences or whatever, and be there selling product. Not conferences, trade shows. He'd go to these huge trade shows, and he had this product that he got from this guy, and he would go and he would sell. But the website component is a very interesting thing for me because he doesn't have a website, right? And we spoke about that. We had a conversation about why don't you have a website? How are you going to be a website developer? You don't have a website, and part of the reason why he doesn't have a website is because he doesn't have the time to put together a website. And it brought me back to the thought, of our father. When his best mechanics, guys that he would go to all the time to fix a car, they would drive the worst car in the world. And I mean, like, these guys could take apart a alternator and put it back together if they needed to. But they'd come by the house and you'd be like, oh my gosh, how is that thing even moving? And I asked my dad one time, why is he driving that kind of car? He's like, because he knows that if he breaks down anywhere on the road, he can fix it. He don't have the same worry as me and you. We're like, oh man, the car stopped working. I don't know what I'm gonna do. He can fix it. And I say, like, that's one of the things, like, where finding precision and being excellent in your craft. That's just one of the goals that you should have, business owner or not, right? When we look back to some of the important things that leaders in the past have said. Dr. Martin Luther King said, be great at whatever you do, right?
That's right. And that includes all those aspects of your life, man.
Yes.
You've got to make sure that you have a plan to spend time with your family.
Yes. If you're not, you have to find time to spend time with your family. You have to find time to spend time with yourself, right? Know yourself, know your needs, right?
Know you need to take care of yourself.
Know you need to take care of yourself. Yeah. You got to eat healthy, exercise,
meditate, journal, all those things that you'll find that are healthy for yourself. You got to do that. You can't run a business long term and then drop dead. Stupid. It doesn't make sense. That's stupid. You want to make sure that you do it, that you're creating a legacy when you create this business. You just,
one thing is that, business is its own entity, right? And businesses are really created to run perpetually.
That's right.
So, you start up a business today. It doesn't have to live or die with you. You don't have to continuously be the owner of it. What we could have went into like a whole bunch of black businesses that have sold themselves to, big conglomerates, the Carroll Daughters of the world and Bevel and all of these guys that they made it and they did great. And they say, you know what? Time to cash out. Right. And I can take this money, and some people are like, oh, they sold out. Why they do that? Bob Johnson with BET, where he kind of did sell out, but sold to Viacom. But the thing is that they cash out, and now they're able to take that money and they can decide what they want to do with that, not just for the business, but also for their families, right? For them to be able to say, how can I make sure that I'm creating something that's it's going to be a legacy, but it's also that in the here and now, we are okay, right? And that I can provide for your future, right? If we have the bandwidth to be able to set up trust and to do things that will make sure that, when we pass away, that our children aren't left with nothing, right? That's a great thing, right?
I recommend that any business owner that's out there that starts to have a modicum of success, they think about things like that, and they also think about how do you give to your community, like whether it's a foundation or a nonprofit or something like that. How do you give to your community? That's another way of creating a perpetual legacy, because that's why you created a business, to really think about yourselves. You probably thought you'd have some wonderful customers that are like your goods or services. You really want to make sure that you're giving to the community. And I don't say giving back, because I hate that term.
Yeah.
It always feels like somebody stole something. So, you know what I mean? That's what I just never. Remember when you were a kid and you would take something from, not me per se, but you would take somebody else, and your parent would say, "Hi, give that back." I don't know where that came from, but every time I hear that thing, giving back, makes me feel like I stole something.
Yeah.
I didn't steal anything from my community. My community is giving me a whole bunch, and so I'm just giving back. I'm just giving to the community directly. I ain't giving back. I ain't take nothing.
Yeah.
Just giving. I'm just giving. Just give.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because I don't think we've ever spoken about that. We've never spoken about, how that can be a pet peeve, and it's always been a pet peeve of mine. You see some guy come and oh yeah, I'm giving back to the neighborhood, or I'm giving back to the community. Why doesn't Dr. J give back, or why does it? And I'm like, number one, give back, right? It's like it should not be a give back. It should just be a give.
Just give,
right? And to me, if you're living your life the proper way, it's a thought process to me, because what I do for someone, if I'm not contractually obligated to receive, I don't expect in return, right? I don't expect in return. So if somebody asks me for help with their business, blah blah blah, and I say, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to help you out. I'm going to give you some tidbits, blah blah blah, and they go and their business flourishes, that's awesome. we didn't sit down and have a conversation to say like, well, you should pay me for this. Now, sometimes there are conversations that you'll have with people that say like, okay, I should receive XYZ in return. At that point in time, now I do expect something back, right? And at that point in time, that is the gift back. You know what I'm saying? If there's any give back, right? But when we talk about helping people, we're helping people. We're not, it shouldn't be, yeah, how can I get big so I can come back and give back to the little scoundrels that need my help? Because they're not little scoundrels. They're people. Just because someone doesn't have the same economic prowess that you have, or just because someone doesn't have the same talent that you have, or someone can utilize something that you have, you can teach. And teach isn't giving back. Teach is teaching.
That's right. You know, I've always struggled with it. You know, a lot of times I just hear people say it, and I say to myself, we have such a transactional society based on this thought process. Like, well, I took from you, you get take from me, you give in this, that. Those are capitalistic things. Those things should happen in those senses, in that sense. But you should just give. It's just a spiritual thing. Your spirit should just be inclined to give. Because we've all been given gifts, you know, we've all been given gifts that we're doing to make a successful business in this world. So we should just give. It should just be a cyclical thing, as opposed to like, I got to try to find a way to get something because later on, maybe they're going to hook me up. No, that's something that's been ingrained, and it makes the American society successful on one front. But at the same time, we as spiritual beings, we can't live that way, man. We got to live in a way that if we're creating a goods or services that is benefiting someone that's out there, we're just giving our talents. Stop fronting. Stop trying to take, because it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work.
No, it won't.
So here we go. I'm gonna talk about this brother for a second. He's a good friend. He is here in Atlanta. He's a filmmaker. His name is Anthony R. Page. He's originally from Augusta. All he does is do what we just said. He gives artists opportunities to flourish. He's recently done this film that you see below called Remembering Mama. That's a great human being. I can't tell you the amount of actors. He is so well regarded in this community that people like Anthony Page is doing something, I'm down with him. I got to figure out what he's doing. His company's called Blue Bistro Creative. I put the website up here. Check it out when you have a chance. He is now involved in directing videos and all those kind of things. So great brother. Great things is happening with him. So, and now I think what I'd like us to kind of transition to do is to talk about bigger businesses that we've encountered. So there are a couple I thought would be interesting to share. And one is Tyler Perry. We were on this topic here just a second ago talking about giving. And I remember sitting in a room with a couple of other Caucasian gentlemen, and we were having this conversation about filmmaking and the films that Tyler Perry does. And they were remarking, and I sit there and let them talk for a minute. They were like, well, it'd be great if he did some more avant-garde kind of films, some kind of like low, those kind of like indie film kind of things. If he did just a few of those, and he didn't do those big kind of spectaculars he does with Medea and all that stuff. And the comment that I had after I listened to these gentlemen talk for a while, I was like, do you know how many people that Tyler Perry has changed their life? In Atlanta, specifically. In Atlanta. So you don't have to love everything that he does, but my gosh, he is transforming lives every single day. Yep. And, he's got one of the largest studios anywhere. So what you see on that screen there is his big studios that are in the southern part of the city where there used to be a military base. And I don't know how many people he employs, but it's got to be tens of thousands of human beings, yep, and mostly of color. Mm-hmm. And they're creating an unbelievable amount of creative stuff. I know he's the big force behind BET Plus, where a lot of his work is being shared there. And so I thought it was important that if we're going to talk about businesses that are having an effect on the community at large, he is definitely one of those.
Yeah, I know some people that are in film that recently moved to Atlanta to try and get opportunities with Tyler Perry Studios. But to the comment that you overheard during that conversation, in the conversation where why isn't he making more indie films? Who's going to any of the other big studios and saying, why aren't you making indie films, right?
Yeah.
Why aren't you giving opportunities to smaller directors or up and coming? No one else is going there, right? And I think that it's that weird dynamic where we're so many years gone, but we still have to live with this double stage, right? Of what Booker T was talking about, right? You said, or what Du Bois was talking about. We still have to live in this duplex life where it's like, okay, I can be great here, but then I have to be this way here, and then I have to be this way here, and I have to wear these multi faces, right? What Tyler Perry has done, he's created so much for so many people. He's created so much content. He's created things that, whether if you agree, whether if you like it, I don't like everything that Tyler Perry creates, but I don't have to like everything that Tyler Perry creates. Because he's not creating.
Going back to, I think, about 7 billion people on the earth.
Yeah.
There's enough for him to be a billionaire.
Exactly. And the thing is that it's different audiences for different things, right?
Right.
I don't like the super laugh. I do like Medea. I won't lie. I like Medea. She makes me laugh. But I don't like everything that he creates. But I do like some things, and some things I like that I don't even want to admit that I like that he creates, right? But it's about being creative. And I think that what he's done is just amazing, right? Because no one thought, when he was first on the road doing, his upcoming story, is he's doing the stage plays and filming them, and people are videotaping them and bootlegging them and selling them, and some people just getting the bootleg, of Medea on stage. No one saw this happening, right? So that's just one of those amazing things. And for people to say, like, why isn't he? Yeah, I remember Spike Lee when he launched his campaign on what's that called, the crowdsourcing, the crowdfunding one, the biggest one,
Kickstarter.
Yeah, he had launched a Kickstarter campaign because he was filming some movie and he didn't have the budget to film it. And I had colleagues who were upset that he was using Kickstarter, right? They're like, why is he using Kickstarter? All the indie guys that are out there, they try to use Kickstarter, and he's taking funding away from them. I'm like, no, you got to look at the bigger picture.
What, he's taking funds away from the other people who are doing their own film projects?
Yeah, so people that are doing film projects, smaller film projects that are lesser known, somebody's like, oh, I can buy this from, I can contribute to, Spike Lee, and I can get this neat stuff. I'm going to contribute to him rather than giving it to, these small guys. But I'm like, that's thinking small, right? That's thinking like, okay, there's only a limited amount of people that can ever use Kickstarter, and that's it.
That's that fixed mindset that some people have, where that it's just like, oh yeah, there's only a finite amount of resources for stuff. Exactly. Me and you putting something on Kickstarter got nothing to do with anybody else on Kickstarter. Nothing. It does not.
But the opposite side of the thing says that it actually does, right? So when Spike Lee goes on the Kickstarter and he has a film project, and you go on a Kickstarter, and you're like, you've never thought of Kickstarter as a place where you could go and fund a project, right? So now you're on there. You're like, okay, Spike. I heard about Spike Lee being on here. Let me go and fund his thing. Now you want to look around Kickstarter. You want to find out what else is on Kickstarter, right? So he's bringing in a whole new breed of people to Kickstarter with his name that gives grand opportunities to indie films that are out there if they're able to capitalize on it and use it correctly.
I think we're saying the same thing. It's not finite in that way because he's
Yeah,
creating more opportunities for more people, not less.
yeah.
But
This is the issue that I have with a lot of the mind scoping that we have from a lot of people, and this even goes back to the Juneteenth thing, right? Where yeah, we could sit here and we can be upset that we just got a national holiday named as Juneteenth and be like, well, I could have just celebrated Juneteenth on my own. I didn't need it to be a national holiday. So what? What does this do? What does it do? Take it and create something from it.
that's right.
So if you see something that's out there and you say like, man, that's gonna mess this up. Think about how can I take this and make sure it don't mess up what I don't want it to mess up.
That's right.
Take advantage of the opportunity.
I saw this thing yesterday. There's all these celebratory events happening in Atlanta today and yesterday, and probably tomorrow as well. And I was saying to myself, there's all of these vendors who popped up all over the place with all of these things to sell their wares because they heard because Juneteenth got made a holiday.
Yep.
If it didn't happen, would they have been there? Probably, maybe. But now more people went there and more businesses are doing well because of it. So it's not this. I read this book a couple of years ago called Mindset about fixed and growth mindsets. And a lot of times we human beings, we toggle between back and forth. It's so easy to be a fixed mindset because you say, nah, that ain't gonna work.
Yep.
No, I ain't got enough money for that. Nah, I can't do that. I can't put my money there. I don't want to do it. You can go through this whole list of things as opposed to saying, what's the opportunity for me to do this? What does the flip side of this mean? Like, for example, the stuff on a personal level that you and I have done, it led to today. It led to us being able to have this show. It's created more abundance and less abundance. And I think people don't a lot of times, and I'm not blaming a person because all of us toggle back and forth between that. We just go, well, I don't know. We just got to constantly be evaluating what that looks like. And our community, because sometimes there's this big wealth gap that truly exists between us and Caucasian people. Sometimes we go into the finite fixed mindset quickly. And Tyler Perry, I'm sure, was there at some point, when he was putting these shows on earlier, when he was starting off, he had to figure out how to put a budget. And I think I've read one story. He said that I was like, 50 grand in debt or something like that initially. But he knew that he had this vision about the future and what that was going to be. And when you stop, you're dead. It's over. If you're going to stop what you're doing right now, and you're going to stop your business right now, you might as well just call up the coroner right now and say, hey, I'm done with life. Like, what you doing? Are you going to sit there and you're just going to let stuff, you're just going to consume stuff and then wait for the end? Or are you going to do something to get you on the next level? So thank you all for joining Surviving Business. As you can tell, we are very passionate about these topics, specifically when it comes to talking about businesses. And the last couple of things I wanted to talk about and share was that I saw this written by this young lady about the top 5 publicly owned, Black-owned businesses. And these first ones you see here this one is in a biopharmaceutical company. This next one does digital and online protection services. Next one is lodging. This next one is Urban One, and we've had some conversations about this one before. So I want us to stop here for a second because this links to some of the things we were just talking about when it talks about entertainment companies. So I wanted to get your view on the ones that I just shared and Urban One specifically.
Yeah, so Urban One is a interesting story. I think I still don't understand their business model 100%. And it's on me. I haven't opened up the annual report, taken a look at the important parts to make sure that I'm capturing that data, which is really that management discussion, right? But it's an interesting story, at least in the market right now, right? So we've been seeing this is the second year straight where we've seen Urban One's share price escalate dramatically around Juneteenth, right? And we would say, is it happening because you know black people, they're viewing that all of a sudden this is going to be the turning point for the company, and that all of a sudden the strategies that they're implementing are going to allow for the company to dramatically start to grow, or is it just news and cyclical? I don't know.
Yeah, Urban One. I agree with you that they require a little bit more of a in depth into their model and where they are, and that is a bit scary to buy the hype or buy based on the hype, or versus fundamentals and where they are. But quite frankly, there's been a lot of things people have been buying on the hype lately, not just black owned businesses.
This is
You
true.
know, going back to our earlier episodes around GameStop and some of those other things, there's been a lot of hype.
Mhm.
And so if you're a potential investor out there or an investor, I think this warrants a look at not just Urban One, but some of these other ones that we shared. A lot of them, their actual stock prices are pretty attractive. Not many of them are got like $500 to buy one stock and that kind of thing. There's stuff I think that people with a small budget could jump into um, and follow. And I think we should invest in these companies just as much as we'd invest in some other companies.
Yep.
We just would. Like the next one on this list is Carver Bank, and I've got a few pieces in that. And quite frankly, I did sight unseen. I just knew about them. I knew that they were around for a long time. And I just said, let me just jump in there because the price wasn't expensive to do so. Um,
Yeah.
probably the one thing that stands out to me when I looked at this is that there's not a lot. There's not a lot of black owned publicly traded companies. And when we think about that, even you think about some of the big names that are out there, I won't say anybody's specific name. I think there's an opportunity for us to think about how do we help some of these black businesses get to become public if they want to be, right? Because it's a decision, and there's a good reason to be public or private, right? That's a whole separate episode in regards to why they should be. But I remember looking at the list, and the list was like maybe a couple dozen, like black owned, publicly owned traded companies in the whole United States. And I was like, whoa. And, and then if you look about just the medium sized businesses in the United States, it was like, I forgot the number. It was like 700, a little less than 700 medium sized businesses in the whole United States. I was like, whoa. And so if you think about the wealth gap that exists out there, and you've got a business, like let people like David and I help you to get you to where you need to be, because it's a shame, quite frankly. 40, 50 million human beings that are super smart, that are super dope, that have transformed the United States of America should not have 700 businesses.
Yep.
It
Yep.
just shouldn't. We, we shouldn't. There's
Yep.
40 millions of us. I'm not saying it should be 40 million businesses, but it should be at least a million medium-sized businesses. It just should.
I mean, when you look at the wealth generation that's happened on the backs of African Americans, people of African descent in this country, it is stark to see that there are not that many companies that are solely owned by African Americans. Right? I mean, I think that goes into a little bit of the idea of how are we as a community working together to pool resources. Um, so, like if we took Carver Federal Savings Bank, which is called Carver Bank Corp, if we took that as an example, that was a black-owned bank for a lot of years, right? And they decided to go public. So therefore, the owners were black, right? The board is still black. The CEO is still black. And why did they go public? They went public because they want to try to grow. They want to try and move into other markets. They need funding, right? And as a private institution, funding can be a little more difficult for you to get. Right. But yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, one thing that I am impressed and I'm happy to see is that a lot more for our people, the youth. I don't know if it's because it's in the rap songs or what, blah, 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 but people are interested in investing.
Especially young people. Young people
Yes.
are definitely invested in not just investing, but it's going back to what I shared about everybody I know having a business. It seems like young people, the 20s and the year olds and even younger, are super invested in creating their own business.
Yep.
The whole idea that they heard from their uncles and their parents and their grandparents about working for somebody for X amount of decades and then retiring, they were like, please, that's not for me. And they're right, because it's not really truth anymore.
Yep.
It's not real for most people to work at some place and then work there for 40 years and then retire. It's not a real thing for
It
most.
doesn't happen. You're there for 5 years, and companies doing an organizational change, right?
If you're there for 5 years, you're the old head. You're
Yeah.
like, yo, you've been around for 5 years.
Hmm.
That's the old head. And
Yeah.
so, for those of you who are out there thinking about a business, you should have one.
Yeah.
I think in the past we've kind of skirted whether you should or you shouldn't, but the truth is you should have one. I don't care if it's only an hour of a day that you do initially as you learn and you figure out what you want to do and what your vision is and your mission is. You should have one. You live in the United States of America. It's Juneteenth. Get up and make your own business. Every single one of you have a skill at something, right? Every single one of us do. And so to let it languish and say, all right, I'm just going to give it to this company that I'm at, and hopefully they'll reward me, and they'll say, oh, okay, you can last more than 5 years, or here's a little bitty bit of money we put in something in 401k, and quite frankly 401k is investing. So it's not like it's not like a pension or something like that in that same kind of sense. And then you just hope and pray that everything just works out okay, and then you retire. And most of us, like in our generation, we've got a lot of things to think about, and I think businesses help out. We've got aging parents, then we've got young children, and then we've got our own life as life is going on, swirling around us. So we've got to think about different things. And if you're a young person that's out there, you're like, this is the best time. I've told my own son this. It's like, yo, do what you do now. Don't fall into that old thing where you're just gonna like wait around. Do it and fail fast and forward now if you're gonna do it, because you'll
Yep.
learn fast and forward now. Your safety net is not a job. Your safety net is us if you need to.
Yep.
So do what you got to do now. Don't wait. Don't sit around, because I think young people can get caught in a trap of a job these days.
Yep.
And don't do it. Just start now. So we had so many more businesses there that I didn't get a chance for us to go through. It was just I think we got on some really great conversations where we just really talked about some of these other things that were just out. So, for example, I didn't get a chance to talk about used to be one of my favorite restaurants in Brooklyn with the fried chicken. Pizza Hut House. I didn't get a chance to talk about that at all. There was also a group that someone put me onto that's a musical a recording studio called Motown, with these two brothers, not Motown, called Quality Records, that got bought in by Motown. And I'm saying to myself, that is fantastic to do. Quality Control Music is their name. And these two brothers, I was reading their story, and I was saying to myself, now these are brothers. You could tell, we obviously can't read all of that, but they've got a slate of artists, including popular artists like Lil Baby and others. And I'm saying to myself, now these brothers are doing it right. They just are. And so, so we've enjoyed season 1 of Surviving Business. We've talked to you about so many things. We talked to you about things that we loved. We talked to you about video games and movie theaters and shopping malls And we actually had a guest on, and we talked to that guest. Then we talked about some other things like fitness and Macy's and all of these, Bitcoin. We talked about all of these things that we just love and we just found incredibly entertaining to talk about. And we hope you enjoyed it too. You'll continue to see that. You'll see snippets of this continue to go out as we get ready for season 2. Season 2, we're going to have a slate of guests that we'll invite on every single episode for that season. So it's going to be a lot of fun to talk to people and talk to them directly. Like, what do you need? Or what are your challenges right now? And that's going to be a blast to do. It just is. And we hope that you sign up. You'll be able to see us on our website. It's under winstonaWilson.com, and you'll see a slice there that says Surviving Business. So make sure you go in there and sign up for our newsletters. We'll be continue to send you like little tidbits about how you can get your businesses going or what challenges you need. And if you need help with anything, please let us know. So next season is going to be a blast. Like I said, we're going to have some amazing guests. And some of them, I don't want to reveal all the guests because some of them are local to that, they're just brand new starting out. And then some of them are been around for a minute. So come alive and thrive as your business. Make sure that you're growing. Make sure you just get up, start today, take an hour. Today is Juneteenth. What better day than now to work on your business? So David, what's your comments for season 1 of Surviving Business?
Season 1 has been a blast. We have gone through a lot, right? I had a beard. My beard's lower. may return for season 2. We don't know. My hair may be gone.
Oh no, we can't have your hair gone.
Tune in to find out what will be
one of these. You can't have another one.
Nah, it won't go that low. I got a birthmark on my head.
Well, now you've encouraged the audience to request that you shake your head so they can see the birthmark.
Yeah, I don't know if they could pay me enough to go bald. But yeah, looking forward to season 2. Looking forward to just continuing the discussion. Right, business is a living entity, right, and we both lived business, we've studied business, we understand business, and it's great to talk about it. Here on Surviving Business, I think that we have a lot of different ways we can take this show, and having a guest on, that's going to be a blast. But I think you're going to see us get creative with some other segments possibly that we'll have on the show. Yeah, just looking forward to season 2. Looking forward to celebrating the businesses that are out there, seeing you guys grow with us, and seeing new people come on and become a part of the movement.
Yeah. So check out our other channels if you're not familiar with them. Creativity Cocktail. That is a show that's been around for 2 years where we actually talk to creatives about their path and their process. And it came from a place of deep meaning, trying to make sure that creatives have a platform. And the one that we talked about here a little bit is called Time Buster Tools. It's just really a great way for you to plug into productivity tips that we have and how do you get yourself productive so you can create and flourish and have your business be successful. So that's part of the Wilson family of organizations. We hope you've enjoyed Surviving Business. We have. It's been a blast to just chop it up with my brother. We could have episodes that are 4 hours long, but we want to make sure that we're giving value to each one of you. So look for little segments of this, little bits and pieces on all of the platforms that we have out there. And we want to thank you all again for being part of our show. So take care, and we will talk to you all very soon.